Yes, thank you for coming here tonight. Welcome to the Waterloo Hotel, a hotel that's been here since 1904 on the banks of the Alexandra Dock, and was once, which was once the largest dock in the world.
Yeah.
I was thinking just a fact to follow up with, but no, that's it. That is it. We'll We're performers, not presenters, so please excuse us. I'm Georgina.
And I'm Justin, and together we are Tin Shed Theatre Company. We are a Newport-based theatre company who enjoys making work almost anywhere that we can. As a company, we like to make exciting, energetic and almost dangerous work in unusual locations. We typically adapt classical texts through contemporary performance practices, and that, we hope, makes our work as interesting as it is exciting. As a company, it's our ambition to make work in unusual locations, as we feel that they attract a different and unique audience. And that is a main part of our company's ethos, to connect with an audience that wouldn't typically visit the theatre.
As artists and theatre makers, we regularly work with local artists, musicians, performers, makers, other theatre companies, local organisations, educational establishments, and with community groups from all across South Wales. So, we should tell you a little bit more about the project. Firstly, we are going to read quite a lot at you because there's been quite a lot that's happened so far, and if I try and freestyle it, I'm likely to forget a lot. So please excuse my face being in the paper. And
that's the same with me. Yeah. Yes. We are both working in sort of production and other roles as well as this role. So at the moment we're working a few things out.
So a bit of a background to the project so far. In October 2018. We want to embark on what is set to be our most challenging piece of site-responsive work to date. Utilising the Transporter Bridge and its surrounding area, we want to reimagine Herman Melville's classic tale, Moby Dick. Placing it on the gondola of the Transporter Bridge, floating audiences high above the River Usk in a fortnight of exciting, immersive performances for the people of Newport and beyond. The production itself has already been years in the making. We remember meeting Mike Lewis, Culture and Continued Learning Manager at Newport City Council.
Just give us a wave, Mike.
There he is. Nice to call him Mike. Thank you. Way back in 2012 to talk about the idea of staging something on the gondola of the bridge. And since then, more conversations have been had and more links have been made, and we've made huge steps to realising the project's full potential. This presentation tonight is the culmination of a lengthy research and development period that has seen us working alongside the council, the guys who run the bridge, as well as local artists and industry professionals, supported in part by the Arts Council of Wales and the Riverfront Theatre. So what is the project exactly? What have we learned and what are our ideas? Why do we feel so strongly about making it, and what might actually happen? Well, that's what we'd like to share with you tonight.
Informed by all aspects of our work that see us creating performance in unusual locations, adapting classic literature, and working successfully to embed ourselves within different communities, we see Moby Dick utilising our strength and reputation in those three areas. Our aim from here on out is to create a more robust plan of how that might happen, and that is a part of the reason that we've invited all of you here tonight, and you are all different branches of different parts of that as a whole process. But we hope to create a unique collaboration between culture, community and heritage. So I'd just like to tell you a little bit more about the heritage aspect of it, which has also got a slide that just lets you know that we're in the heritage. I've got an old photograph, so we're in the heritage bit now, guys. As a company, we pride ourselves on placing work in unusual spaces. Those of you who might have come to some of our other productions, you might have seen us performing in abandoned warehouses on the outskirts of Maze Glass, in empty banks in the former John Frost Square, in moving taxis around the whole of Newport, or in terraced houses in St Julian's. We choose to make work that exists in non-traditional theatre spaces because we believe that by doing so we attract a unique and more diverse audience. We also believe that by inhabiting these spaces, we connect them to theatre, and that reignites the public's interest in them. the Newport Transport Bridge is a perfect example of that. It was built in 1906, and the Transport Bridge is one of the largest of only 8 that survive across the world. It was designed by French engineer, forgive me, anyone who knows how to pronounce this, Ferdinand Arnadin. I think that's right. And its complex steel lattice structure stretches 240 feet across the city skyline and stands as an iconic structure that many would argue is the symbol of Newport. Rich with historical value and still functioning as a legitimate mode of transport and as a tourist attraction, the bridge has the ability to take people over the River Usk whilst being a unique and interesting part of Newport's heritage. With this, we see huge potential as theatre makers. We want to temporarily repurpose the gondola of the bridge, turning it into an alternative theatre venue, which we think will attract a more new and diverse audience. This may be a reconnection for the audiences, or it may be their very first time stepping on the bridge. And we believe by doing so in a wholly unique way, we offer people an experience that inspires them to form a more profound relationship with the bridge. This work should speak of Newport's history and its local community here in Pill, while celebrating the bridge and its heritage. We want to ask what the future could hold for it, forging stronger links between... Hello, come on in, don't worry. You're fine, you're fine. Got a plan back there. Where was I? Forging stronger links between the public, the art, and the spaces in which it can happen, which we think together, and with the help of the people in this room, we can create a long-lasting, sustainable relationship between heritage and art in Newport, specifically the Transporter Bridge.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about community. I believe we've got some right.
There it is. And then, hang on, a picture of some members of the
Yes,
community.
there they are.
This is good. This is going astonishingly well.
Wow. Okay. We want to embed ourselves into the community of Pill. We want to develop an audience that is typically labelled as hard to reach. We want to build the trust of the community and promote art as a catalyst for social change in attitude. These ambitions will be delivered by an appointed community engagement officer who can help us streamline our ambitions and who can be a friendly and trustworthy presence in the community. They will act as our link between the community of Pill, Tin Shed and the Transporter Bridge, and here are a few ideas of some activities we would like to run. We want to present offers to the community in the form of making and creating workshops, encouraging people to share stories of the bridge, stories of their transport to Newport, and stories of their lives. We want to teach the groups new skills in theatre making and offer workshop opportunities to learn how to build and design. We want to offer the community the chance to help us build a 20-foot whale puppet that will parade through the centre of Newport at festivals such as Pill Carnival, Maiden Festival and Big Splash next summer. We also want to offer work placement opportunities to 5 young people out of education, out of work and living in a community first area. We hope that these placements will allow the young people to work alongside arts professionals with the legacy of learning a new skill and introducing a new working generation to the arts and culture sector. We want this to be a project that is for everyone, accessible in all ways and slow build-up of trust and presence in a community that is culturally deprived. Having successfully created these links, we want to offer anyone and everyone the opportunity to see the work.
So now I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the work and what it might feel like and what it might look like. But please bear in mind, this is early stages of what we'd like to do. We envisage the project happening this time next year. So we see a larger research and development period where we'll really try and put some meat on the bones. For this, I'm going to have to exit that presentation because I lost the presentation today and I've remade it. That's why it's very simplistic, I apologise. And I'm just going to put on some images in the background that have been with us from the start of the work. There's textures and different structures and different colours and also pieces of art that have kind of inspired us and informed the work in some way along the way to this point. Some of them have been lost by the wayside, some of them remain. You look confused at seeing David Attenborough on a chin. It all makes sense in our heads, that's all that matters. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
this
about
is partly informative for Bethany, our designer, who hasn't seen most of this either. So,
I'm sure you have. You see our pictures. So the plot of Moby Dick is fairly simplistic. It's about one captain and his desperate hunt for one particular whale, Moby Dick. But when the work is interrogated further, the novel presents a whole host of other interpretable themes. Good and evil, friendship, death, defiance, obsession, greed, vengeance, duty, responsibility. The list really does go on. And I think that the ambiguous themes presented within the text are one of the reasons that Moby Dick has become so timeless and manages to speak to each generation that reads it. Through both the relationship between the characters and the stark symbolism within the text, these themes are made obvious and prevalent, and that is where, as theatre makers, we find it an exciting opportunity to link the story of Moby Dick with the story of the Transport Bridge. When I read Moby Dick, I read about masculinity and loneliness, the idiocy of mankind, a hard working class, man's incredible ability to build and conquer. Now looking a little closer at the history of the bridge, we re-find these themes in an alternative context. Knowing that the bridge was built to transport working class men from Pilgwenlly and further into Newport to the factories, docks and steelworks, we imagine them floating over the Usk. These men would voyage towards their numerous forms of hazardous manual labour to work a day and provide for their families. Channeling their energies through brute forms of manual labour to make ends meet, they attempt to stave away an ever-encroaching modern world of technical solutions that would make them obsolete and ultimately unemployed. Just like the whalers in Moby Dick, and much like the bridge itself. It's here where we find the richness of both details meeting. It's here where we become excited about the potential parallels between the story of the bridge and the story of Moby Dick. We imagine a cast of 4 working Newport men retelling the story of Moby Dick through intense physical movement, lugging large structures and objects made of wood and whalebone and steel and ship masts with rope and sails rotted grey and black by the salt of the ocean. We see beautiful dialogue and live music to bring the story of Moby Dick to life whilst igniting the spirit of those steel workers who made voyage on the Transport Bridge day after day after day.
These are all just ideas at the moment, and they are still forming, and we have a lot of questions that we don't know the answers to yet, which is quite exciting, I think, at the moment, but quite nerve-wracking at the same time. But some of the ideas that we really like, we've put into practice for a small sharing this evening over on the bridge once we finish this presentation. We'd love